Marshall.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. I noticed quite a lot of interaction with the students as well. So, like when you're conducting this game, yes, you have your partner that you are conducting the game with, but you're also including the students as well.
Yes, lots of interaction. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Interaction is a great thing to notice. Nicole Borisova, what did you notice?
There was a lot of gestures and smiling. They seemed very interested in each other and what they were saying.
Yes, yes, exactly. Just enthusiasm. Yes. Philip.
I'm kind of on a similar point, but just noticing on how like they're really making like the extra banter be very playful, which creates a very fun effect to an audience.
Exactly. They were trying to make jokes. They were trying to be playful. Playful is an excellent word. I'm going to write that down because playful is perfectly fits the tutor requirements. Angie.
I noticed a lot that they had a lot of body language when they're making descriptive gestures. Like when he said he was older, that was signaling that he was tall.
Yes, exactly. They were using gestures, but as you said, not just with their hands, with their whole body. Okay, they were trying to engage the audience by using their whole body. That is also very important. Let's try together. Every time someone says one of these things, let's try to start all these adjectives, all these tools that you're going to use to start getting them and learn them. Okay, so we said fun, we said enthusiasm, we said gestures, we said body language, we said interaction. What else? What else did you notice? Yes, Bea.
I also observed a lot of variations in the pitch, the volume, and the tone during the speech.
Absolutely. Do you have any drama background?
I don't, but I do sing.
Okay, that's why you notice. Usually it's the drama people that notice this. Yes, that is one of the super important things that you don't really notice, but it helps you engage. So it's good that you don't notice because they did it in a natural way, but changing the pitch, changing the intonation of your voice is so engaging because you are constantly interested, because you speak slowly, then you speak lower, you speak higher, you change the intonation and the pitch of your voice. That keeps the interest in your audience, especially when the English is their second language. So they might, and that is the main problem, they might not understand you most of the times, but by changing the pitch, the volume, and the intonation of your voice, you are interesting. Something else, Petra?
So going back to like the basics, just the pacing level of it.
Waiting for that.
Not talking too fast, but it's also not like a sloth where it's like my name is it's just the spacing in between words gives them a second to process everything as well.
Yes, exactly. That's precisely the point. Pace doesn't mean being boring. Okay, you can speak clearly. In fact, we said clarity as well. So clarity with enthusiasm. They were engaging, they were fun, and they were still speaking super slowly and clear. You can do that at the same time, I promise you. And we're gonna teach you how and practice, especially because today I'm going to tell you everything we can about how to conduct a game and how to be engaged and how to use the bell style. But then it's all about practice. You're not going to come out of this workshop with the bell style. You will learn what we are expecting, but then you need to practice. It doesn't always come so natural because, of course, you're native speakers. For you just speak English. What can be difficult about it? But if you're talking to someone that doesn't understand you, that's the difficult part. Making sure they can play a game with you without speaking your language. Okay, so don't think that after this you're fine. After this you need to practice, then you're gonna be fine. Okay, so how we can teach English by playing games. Now that we understand what is the bell style, how we can teach English by playing games. Why? How? Someone? Why do we use game and not a book of grammar. Okay, Mayan.
Well, for starters, I read something a little bit ago that just says that learning, it takes like roughly like 50 to like 100 times of repetition unless it's done in play, because the brain is just firing so many neurotransmitters. I don't know if that was the answer you wanted.
Very good, but very true. Okay, of course, when you're having fun, when you engage, when you are doing something that you like, basically, you're learning so much faster. I'm sure by now you have experienced a situation where you learned something without an effort because you were having fun. Of course, for example, at school, when you have a subject that you actually like and you are interested about, it's easier to learn than something that you find boring. Okay, you're gonna take longer to learn. So that's why we are presenting the English language in a fun and engaging way so that they learn without having to study, which they probably won't like to do during the summer. Okay, so that's why we're using games. It's fun, and by playing games they learn the language. Okay, that's an easy one. What is edutainment? Someone? Yes, Erin.
I think edutainment is like blending learning with games, so it's fun and engaging with the kids, and it makes it more memorable as well.
Exactly. So education and entertainment together makes it easier. Thank you so much. Okay, now what types of game it could be done? What kind of games we could do? Someone maybe has read the tutor's pack. It wasn't an assignment for today. It's just maybe people with the teaching background might answer. Michelle?
I think one game could be Simon Says, because you could tell
Yeah,
them
that's
Simon
a great
Says,
game.
touch your eyes,
Yeah,
and they'll
that
learn to touch their eyes.
What type of game is Simon Says? For example, I'll give you an example. Simon Says could be a vocabulary game because we are teaching them the body parts, okay? Touch your head, touch your nose. So that could be taught as a vocabulary game. But it's also an active game because it gives energy to the children, because then you go, touch your nose, touch your head. Okay, of course, Simon Says touch your nose, Simon Says touch your head. But it's an active game because children are moving and bringing energy to the game. So I'm talking about types of games. Melissa?
Music kind of games.
A music kind of game. Yes, all those games that bring music in it. So you can maybe interact or engage those children that like music, that respond well to musicals. So that's why we have different types of game to different situations, but also to engage different types of children. Mayan? Mayan? Type of game?
Follow the leader type games.
Okay, so you mean those games where they copy the tutor and do something else? That is a game, I think, more than a type of game. I'm looking for some different kind of answer. Darcy?
There's also icebreakers.
Yeah!
Especially towards the start of the week.
Icebreakers. Icebreakers is definitely a type of game. Icebreakers are all those games that break the ice, obviously. So when, for example, in the morning, the children are maybe a bit still asleep, they are maybe a bit shy that day, you don't really know how to get them to break the ice, to energize, to start the game, you can pick one of those icebreaker games that really make the children more involved straight away and get them to play. And then you can start with the rest of your activity. So my point is, in the tutor's pack, you'll see games divided in different kind. It's very important, as you see in your lesson planning, to pick the correct game for the right situation. For example, you just finished the treasure hunt, you just have this bunch of children full of energy. You need to pick some kind of calming game, some game that brings the energy down. Otherwise, you have these children out of control. There are games calm to make them a bit like lower the level of energy. Or at the opposite, it's the morning, everyone is shy, is half asleep. You need an energy game that brings the energy in the room. You have vocabulary game because maybe that day you need to teach about the ocean and about the vocabulary about the sea and the water. So you pick vocabulary game that helps you teach that vocabulary that then you need for another activity later on. So you see, it's very important when you pick a game to pick the game for the right situation, depending on your class, on the time of the day, on what you did before or what you need to do after. In your tutor's pack, you see all those games. It's important to recognize that they have different type, okay, for different situation. Gamers, okay, this gamers is everything you need to conduct a game in your class. Okay, gamers is an acronym. Every letter stands for a tool or a skill that you need to have when you are performing a game. So first, we're gonna go through those letters one by one, see what they mean, see what the letter stands for, and then we're gonna see the gamers into practice, okay? So G-A-M-E-R-S. Let's see what each letter stands for. Those are all the things you need to conduct a game. The first one I give you, just to get into the mood, G stands for gestures, okay? We already said that. Use the gestures to communicate, to support and facilitate the spoken language, okay? Of course, if they don't understand your words, the gestures will help support what you're saying. They're gonna be universal gestures. Time is the same in every language, time. Okay, to emphasize keywords, of course, you don't have to use a gesture for every single word, but only to emphasize the key words. Okay, and then, of course, as I said, you need to associate the gesture to universal actions. Okay, so for example, what you're gonna use every day at camp is look, listen, and repeat. That's an example. A stands for, let's see if our returning tutor can really remember what A stands for. Anyone? Articulation. Okay, articulation. So focus on the clarity. We already said that. Clarity. Okay, speak very, not only slowly, but articulate. Here, all the tutors have been selected from every corner of the world. You will see, you will meet people from Australia, from South Africa, from USA, from UK, from other nations around the world. We welcome every single accented background, but everyone, no matter your accent, you need to articulate your words. It's so important. For example, if I say, oggi facciamo una competizione. It's very difficult. If you don't speak Italian, you will never know what I said by saying competizione. But if I say competizione, competizione, can anyone guess what I said? Someone that doesn't speak Italian, please. Mayan.
Competence?
Almost. Any other guess? Competizione.
Competition?
Yes, competition. Exactly. So with this example that almost failed, but usually it works 100%. So with this example, I was trying to show you that even if you don't speak Italian, if I enunciate clear enough and articulate my word, I can give you a chance to understand. You might not understand the first time, you might not understand the second time, not the third, but maybe at the fourth time that I say competizione, you might click in your brain, competizione, competition. Yes, I got one word in Italian. Learned. Every time I'm going to say competizione, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, this is the exact same thing that is gonna happen in the brain of your little students. Articulate, please. It's so easy to forget, but it's so easy to do if you remember, because that will change your game completely if you just articulate your word. Okay, M, please, some returning tutor. M stands for. This is so easy. It's an easy one. Yes, George.
Is it management?
What?
Management?
No, it's not management. It's not movement. M stands for.
Materials.
No. Okay, I give up. Hopefully the returning tutors are not here or their microphone doesn't work, because M stands for magnify. Make it big. Okay, so silly example. You have a class full of children. Everybody, look, listen, and repeat. Or everybody, look, listen, and repeat. Okay, that's what I mean by make it big. Why do you need to magnify things? Because you like to shout, or there is a reason behind it?
So that
Yes,
people pay
Tashina.
attention.
Yes, they pay attention more. You are engaging, okay? You are interesting. You're gonna catch their attention, okay? So by magnify, I mean make your gestures big. And this seems so easy, but I see so many tutors on the first time going, today we are going to play a game. Ooh, no, it's today we are going to play a game. Okay, that I'm not crazy. I'm just engaging. I'm just trying to engage those children. Now, in front of a screen, in front of other adult people, this may be strange. But trust me, when you are in front of a class of children, you are going to be that person, that fun person, that engaging person that they're gonna like. They will want to listen to you. If you show yourself shy and insecure, they're not gonna engage with you because they're children. Okay, they're looking for fun. They're looking for their tutors to bring them fun things. If you are shy and self-conscious, you're not going to be as engaging as you should. Okay, so slowly we're going to try. For some people it's going to be so easy. For some people it's going to be more difficult. Okay, so slowly and together we're going to practice and get that energy from the inside to the outside. Okay, so magnify, make it big. When you perform your video tonight, remember, magnify, make it big, because already if you are using big gestures instead of small one, your game is going to be so much better and so much more interesting. Okay, E stands for, oh, Tashinga, you have a question or you want to answer my question?
Yes, I wanted to answer your question.
Okay, yes.
That is enthusiasm.
Yes, enthusiasm is one of the 3 criteria for a tutor, but in this specific gamers acronym, E stands for, Sarah Grimes, do you have an idea?
Energy.
Energy, no, that's not what it says. E stands for, really, if you're not a returning tutor, I don't think you can know that because it will be a guessing game. I was looking more for those returning tutor, but E stands for examples. Of course, one key thing when explaining a game is don't explain, do. Make example. Instead of everybody now stand up and walk towards the center of the room and make a circle, I'm not saying nobody, but probably nobody will actually not even move from their chair. Okay, so make example. Everybody stand up and make a circle. Now, you don't see me moving, but at this point, I will stand up myself. When I say stand up, go around the room and move the children. After you move a few children into a circle, everybody will understand they have to make a circle. That is just one example of not explaining something, just do it, okay? Instead of explaining the rules of the game, sometimes you just have to do what you're looking for the children to do, okay? So, for example, remember this. Don't explain, do. This is a bit difficult, and this letter requires some practice, because as a native speaker, it's so easy for you to just tell me what I need to do. And you need to think of ways of showing me what I need to do instead of explain. So E stands for example. Don't explain, do. I bet this will create a few tries before you get it right. R stands for, I'm not going to ask anymore because those returning tutors are not really remembering. Darcy, do you want to try? R stands for?
Is it repetition?
Yes, good. It's exactly that. R stands for repetition. Look, listen, and repeat. Repeat, repeat, and repeat. Repetition really is the key. Okay, everything I say is the key, but this is again the key, because of course, be consistent with your repetition. If every time you use a different word, it's going to be difficult. You are repeating the same concept, but with different words, it's not going to help. Okay, so try to repeat the same sentence. Can I go to the toilet? Can I go to the toilet? Because the child will be, Can I go to the toilet, please? The child eventually will say, can I go to the toilet, please? Okay, but that will take repetition, repetition, repetition. And we're going to practice repetition here a lot. So that is usually easier to retain for the new tutors. Repetition, repetition. Also, by repeating the same thing, it gives you time to think what you need to say next, okay? So, repetition. And S stands for, I'll give you this one, speed. Speak slowly, okay? Articulation and speed are two different things. Speed, by that, I just mean speak slowly. When you think you're too slow, slow down even more. You can never go wrong. Once you are in your class with your children, you're going to start slow. Then you're going to move to the right speed once you know your children. But for the sake of this training, speak slowly. And also on your first day at camp, speak slowly. Speak even slower than what you think slow is. And you will not go wrong. I promise you. Speak slowly. Again, this one, for some of you, it will be so easy. For some of you, it will be the most challenging of the points, because some people speak really fast. So you're going to start really slow and then you're going to speak very fast. Okay, so think slow, slow down. Again, by speaking slowly, it will give you time to think what to say next, okay? It might sound so easy and so obvious, these gamers, but I want to see your videos first, okay? I have a few years of experience of training tutors, and I know for some of you, some letters are gonna be a natural. For some of you, the same letter is gonna be a nightmare, okay? Just please, the first step here is to remember gamers. There is no other way. Please remember. G, gestures. A, articulation. M, magnify. E, example. R, repetition. S, speed. There is no other way here. Just remember those letters. Now, that's the fun part. We're going to see together an example of a game, okay? But is a bad example. Someone here that didn't use the GAMERS acronym. Someone here that forgot how important those things are. Let's watch it together, and then I want to hear from you everything that poor Amanda did wrong. Very wrong.
Hello, everybody. The name of the game is What Time Is It, Mr. Wolf? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? So you'll stand there and I'll explain the game. So you'll be in a line, and when I say, when you say, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? I'll say 2 o'clock. Okay, let's try. So, what's the time? What's the time, Mr. Wolf?
What's the time,
Okay.
Mr. Wolf?
And then I'd say 2 o'clock, and then you take 2 steps forward. So, come on, great, 1, 2, good. Now, then when I say dinner time, then you will run, and the person, whoever the wolf tags, whoever catches whoever's running, then they'll become the big bad wolf. The big bad wolf. So let's try. 3, 2, 1, go. What's the time, Mr. Let's play. Let's play. Okay, ready? Let's play. Everyone excited? You ready? Okay, go.
Okay, no, this game probably will not work in real setting. So, what did you notice? Come on, let's. Don't worry, Amanda is not going to get upset. Amanda is one of your trainers, so she's fine. She's not going to hold it against you. What did poor Amanda do wrong? Melissa.
She wasn't very like confident in explaining like what the game was. So
No, she was not confident at all. Why was she not confident? Because she was not prepared. Amanda here didn't rehearse this game. She didn't really know what to do. Could be nervous, but most likely here, Amanda did not prepare the game in advance. So important to know what you're going to say. Yes, she was not prepared. Janelle.
She also spoke very fast and very like slowly. She had no intonation in her voice, and she did not even look like happy to be there. She was and there was no intonation, no like exaggeration of the movements.
Absolutely no intonation, monotone. She was focused really on herself, not on the children. She was just focused on herself, trying to remember what to do next. She was not at all paying attention to the children. Erin.
When she was explaining it, she did a lot of explanation and not a lot of clear gestures and interactions, and she should have broken it down into smaller chunks as well.
Absolutely. You said almost all the points, Erin, here. So let's recap. She didn't break down the game. Of course, as we're going to see in a second, the first thing you need to do when you read the rules of the game is to break them down into steps. Step 1, I'm going to do this. Step 2, I'm going to do this. Because you cannot just go through the whole game and then expect the children, even in their own language, this would be confusing. I bet she was speaking in English. I bet even you people think that she was a bit confused herself. She was confused herself. How can she explain something to you if she's not even clear herself what she should say? So, of course, breaking down the games into steps. You said something about gestures as well. What did you say?
Her gestures weren't always clear. She was kind of mixing them up as she was explaining.
Yes, she was trying to use the gestures, but because she didn't know what she was saying, she mixed up the gesture and not making them very clear. Something else? Anyone wants to add something else? Mac?
I think there was a lack of examples which didn't really allow for repetition.
Exactly. She did not use not even a single example. And of course, she remembered at some point that children should repeat, but she didn't even care if we repeated or not. She just went on. She was like, yeah, you need to repeat. No, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? And then she went on. Again, she was focused on herself. So remember, when you're explaining a game to the children, you should not be focused on, oh, what I need to do. What you should be prepared and therefore be able to focus on your children, not on yourself. You should be sure of yourself, secure of what you're going to say and do, and therefore you can really pay attention to the children. Are they repeating? Are they engaged? Are they following me? By watching your children, you see straight away if they're following or not. And by asking them to do things, you can straight away test if what you said or did was understood or they're just lost. So if they're lost, you need to repeat that step. If they did what you asked, then you can carry on to the next step, okay? So basically, Amanda did not follow the gamer's tools at all. So just to recap, the hardest part of every game is to introduce the rule. Not playing, of course, playing is fun, but to be able to play, you need to read the rules. Okay, so in this case, no children will read any rule for the game. The tutor will explain the game, and that's the part. See, yeah, Angelica, did you want to say something? No? Okay.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay, so that's the hard part, getting the game starting. Okay, always remember the students do not know the game, and that's great, because if you forget the rules, if you forget a part, it doesn't matter. They don't know what's right and what's wrong. You don't have to worry about yourself. Oh, I'm not good enough, I don't remember properly. Don't worry, but you need to be confident, okay? Even if you're doing everything wrong, if you look confident, you will be engaging, you will be fun. Even if you change the rules of the game, it doesn't matter. But you need to be confident and at least look like you know exactly what you do, even if you're doing everything wrong. It doesn't matter, okay? Now, let's try to do something. Let's try to see good examples of the game. So, of course, here she's doing everything right. But please note down everything that she's doing right, and we're going to discuss later. So please note down what you think she's doing right.
Hello, everybody. The name of the game is What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? Can everybody repeat? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Good job! Are you ready to play the game? Yes! Yes! Can you say, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? 2 o'clock. When I say 2 o'clock, you will take 2 steps forward. Are you ready? Yes! 2 o'clock. 1, 2. Great job. Let's play. Are you ready? Yes! What time is it, Mr. Wolf? What time is it, Mr. Wolf? 3 o'clock. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Repeat. Ready? What time is it, Mr. Wolf? What time is it, Mr. Wolf? Dinner time. When I say dinner time, you run. Are you ready? Yes, yes. What time is it, Mr. Wolf? What time is it, Mr. Wolf? Dinner time. Catch. When I catch you, you are now Mr. Wolf. Are you ready? Yes! What time is it, Mr. Wolf? What time is it, Mr. Wolf? Dinner time. Catch! Mr. Wolf! Mr. Wolf!
Okay, so what did we notice? One more time, let's repeat everything. Roberta! Roberta?
She had enthusiastic gestures and she interacted well with the student, and then she also gave positive reinforcement when she got it right.
Yes, something we did not discuss about. I want to explain this. It is so important to praise the children when they do something right, when they have some expected behavior, when they do what you asked. Okay, it's so important. First of all, to praise them. Second, to give them importance one by one, to give eye contact to your children, to learn their names and name them. Well done, Christina. That was really good. They love that. They feel important. They feel they've done something right and they want to do better. They want to do even more. They want to please you, basically. They want to be liked by you. Okay, so please give attention to each and every one of your children by praising them and saying their name, giving them eye contact while you explain the game. Once more, be focused on your children, not on yourself. Well done. Leah.
She made sure to repeat every step and to give examples for every step.
Of course. Repetition. She repeated, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? 1,000,000 times. Okay, that's the right way. Okay. And yes, what else did you said? Repetition and?
Repetition and examples. She gave examples.
Examples, yes. Of course, to explain that I have to take 2 steps, she walked 2 steps. And if you notice, if you have the chance to watch this video again while you practice, she didn't explain the next step. Every time she moved to the next step, she did the next step. And while she did it, she used words to explain, but in the way that she was doing it. So don't explain, do. This is the best way. Angie?
Yes, and on top of that, when she was using her words, she was articulating perfectly and enunciating all the words very slowly.
Exactly. Amanda is great at articulation. Really, even anyone Italian can easily understand her, okay, because she is so clear in her speech. So this is something that some of you will need to practice. Some of you, this articulation will come natural. For some of you, it will be more difficult, but everyone needs to practice. As I said, you tutors that are here, you're all coming from different backgrounds, different experience, different parts of the world, different language even, okay? Not all of you are English is the really first language. Some of you are bilingual. No matter where you come from, if you're here, you've been selected because we saw something in you, okay? So if one of these things, one of these gamer things comes difficult to you, that's because you need more practice on that part rather than others, okay? So some of you will have difficulties. Some of you are have been teachers for years, but traditional teachers. So even if you are a traditional teacher, this style may be difficult for you, but on your side, you have the experience, of course. So for every one of you, challenges will lie in different parts. The important thing is practice, okay? Nicole, do you want to add something?
Yeah, just that she made everything about the child. She would never move on until the child was doing everything all the same and repeating it, and it seemed like they were understanding.
This is important. Not really practice this in the video because you don't have a class of children. This is something you need to remember. And really, you will be able to do it during the live training in Cesenatico, because in the live training, that's all we're going to do. Practice games. Okay, so you're going to have the chance to practice. This is something that you cannot really practice in the video, but it's so important. Don't move to the next step until at least the majority of the class have understood step 1. Okay, sometimes you can make one step of the game a game itself, because sometimes it's so easy just pointing at people and they have to go bang. For them, it's just fun if you make it fun, okay? Don't make it, okay, before we play the game, I'm sorry, we need to practice, okay? I'm really sorry, but first we need, no, make it into a game. Okay, let's start the game. The first step is when I point, you duck, okay? When I point, you duck. Let's try. 1, 2, 3, okay? That is the game itself. I know it's just one step for another game, but you need to make it fun. As I always say, if you have fun, the children will have fun. You need to make that thing fun. You need to teach them about vocabulary of the body part. Let's make a game about it, okay? Let's be creative, okay? Let's have fun, basically. I suggest you go on YouTube. We have the playlist for training. You go on YouTube and you can watch and rewatch this video as many times as it takes to prepare your game. Okay, let's one more time repeat everything. Break this. If you want to take a screenshot of this, is also very useful. Okay, 1, break the explanation into small steps. Write them down if you need. For example, I'm someone, the way I work, the way I learn, I like to make a chart of everything I need to do with keywords. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Then with those steps very clear in my mind, I can then explain the game. For example, I do that. Find your ways, but everyone needs to break down the game into steps. Don't think you're gonna just do it, okay? It's not gonna work that way, at least not at the beginning. Use gestures. We said gestures are key. Facial expression is so important. Think when you were a child. Think when you're watching a Disney movie, for example. Remember those characters that were so full of facial expression. That's why you were so engaged if you were like me in the Disney movie. You might not realize at the time, but the facial expression of those characters was so important. Okay, facial expression and body language. Now we are in front of a screen. Okay, I'm not moving much, but you will see me and all the other trainers at the live training. We gotta move all around the room. So when you practice a game, think of the space, move around and use your whole body, not just face and hands. Okay, think of all this while practicing a game. Speak slowly. We said that, but with energy. As we said, once more, speaking slowly doesn't mean being boring. You saw Amanda, okay? And you're going to see all the other trainers are training. You're going to see me, you're going to see Amanda, you're going to see another 4 or 5 people, everyone with different style. You're going to see more calm people, you're going to be big theatrical people, you can see male, female, different style, different backgrounds. It doesn't matter. Each one of you is unique. Each one of you is going to have their own style. It doesn't matter, okay? Find your own way of being engaging, of showing energy, and speak slowly, okay? Even if you are one of those people that naturally speak very fast. Lively tone, of course, helps the children being engaged. Make it fun and interactive. Again, interaction, it's a two-way communication. You and the children, focus on them, not on yourself, and keep the excitement high. Okay, and if things are not going well, what's going to happen? We're going to talk about it if things are not going well. But first, I'm going to see you a real example of a classroom. Okay, this is not Amanda in a studio trying to show you a game. This is a real tutor like yourself. You're going to be in a month's time. This is the experience you're going to have. Let's see what she's gonna do and what gamers tool she used. Let's try and notice these things, okay?
There, well done, missus. Mariana? Wait, say again. Almost monkey. Repeat. Monkey. Monkey. Good girl, well done, monkey. Okay, we are going to play a game. So, I need a leader. Who wants to be a leader? Who wants to be in charge? Who wants to be a leader? You know what? Okay, I will be the leader for this game. But, do you want to be a leader? Stand up. And Angelica, you need a helper. You need a friend. Can you pick a friend? Pick a friend. Who wants to be your leader? Christina! Christina, come and stand next to Angelica. So, Angelica, take the cards. Shuffle them up. Okay, shuffle them up. That's it. Find your favourite card. Okay, hold that one. Can you ask your helper to hold the card? That's it. Oh, wait. Everybody, you need to ask a question.
Okay, so what did you notice? Challenges and how she overcame the challenges. Any idea? Philip, hello.
So I noticed that when like using some words, like she would then try to use like a word similar to that, such as would like be a leader, the one be in charge, a helper, as a friend, like they would also like provide additional words to make them understand what it is.
So important. Thank you for saying that. Yes, because obviously you may not speak Italian. Of course, like you don't, most of you. So you don't know which word it's going to be similar, more similar to the Italian. So you might try different word. If one word doesn't work, you can try another word. Maybe it might be more similar to Italian. So that is a good trick. If you don't understand, shuffle the card. Yes, she did the gesture, but maybe shuffle didn't really work. So mix might work better. So you see, if you focus on your children rather than on yourself, you will notice what works and what doesn't work. And you need to be flexible to change the word, use another one, or change the gesture even. Once you select your gesture that works, then be consistent, of course. Okay, well done, Philip. That is a very good point. Esme? Yeah, your microphone. I cannot hear you, Esme. No, we cannot hear Esme. So we have, who didn't speak? Leah.
For when the child didn't know like what the answer was, she made sure to not make them feel bad and just be like, oh, okay, try again. And then when they couldn't guess it, she helped them with the answer.
Very good. This is something that might be obvious, but for some, no. This is summer camp. It's not school. We're not there to say, no, that's wrong. You're never going to do that. Instead, if they say something wrong or a sentence that is not grammatically really correct, you may repeat the correct version, and maybe you have the child or the whole class repeat. I made this example before. Toilet, toilet. May I go to the toilet, please? Repeat. Okay, so very good. Never say, no, that's wrong. Try something different. Try telling them the correct version of the sentence and get them to repeat it. That is a very good thing to notice. Nicole?
She was ready to step in and be the leader herself, and instead of keeping asking, she kept the timing moving at a nice space. She was ready to.
Absolutely. So important. This could happen, okay? You ask them to do something, sometimes they're shy. They won't do it. What are you going to do? Stay 2 hours there waiting for someone to raise their hand, or find a different plan? Find a different plan, of course. In that situation, she was going to be the leader. There could be many other different situations where what you're asking doesn't work. You need to be fast thinker and think of a solution. Very, very good, Nicole. That was very important. Irene?
Yes, hello. I also noticed she used a lot of hand gestures. So when she was talking about shuffling, she just did the shuffling hand gesture so the kid would understand.
Of course, she used gestures. She is using all of her gamers, okay? The video in this situation was taken after a few days of camp. So you noticed that the children were kind of used to her. They knew more or less what she was asking. Something that everyone should notice is energy, okay? She was very energetic. She was giving 100%. But the children were not really, yeah, let's play a game, yes. No, they were like, yes, no. What you should notice and what all the tutors should do, the tutor always need to give 100% of energy, no matter what the energy of the children is. It's very easy to feed on the energy of the children, and by the end of the game, your energy goes down with them. No, this cannot happen. Okay, as Alessia said, and is written in your red pages, energy is one of your responsibility. It's not an extra. It's not nice if you are energetic. It's part of your job, and it's so important. So even when the children gives you lower energy, you need to keep the energy up. There are ways to raise the energy of the children with different type of games. With maybe if you need to play a game that you know it's not really gonna go well with your class, but you need to play because you have to introduce that vocabulary, you first play a game that they do like, a game that gives them that energy, then you play that game that they might not like, then you play another fun game for them. Okay, you need to plan your day around. You need to learn your games, you need to learn your children, you need to learn the program, then you can do a perfect summer camp. Okay, so it's very basically, I always go back to preparation and lesson planning. For those that are not really teachers, it's going to be maybe more difficult, okay? When I say things gonna be difficult for different people. Lesson planning is key, okay? If you are confident on your plan, if you know your children, you know yourself, you know your game, it's going to be easy. The day is going to be easy. Otherwise, it will be difficult, okay? So energy is one of your responsibility. Always keep the energy up. Mac, do you wanna add something else?
I noticed when she asked for the student to pick a helper, she wasn't sure if she knew what helper meant, so she went to friend to say. And she was like, oh, pick a friend to help you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we said before. If you're not sure they understood your word, be ready with a different word, a different example to make sure they are understanding what you're saying. Very good. I think we just discussed most of the things. Now, let's see what's going to happen when a game doesn't work. And I can guarantee you will be in the situation where a game doesn't work, because this happens to everyone. If some returning tutors are here, they can testify, yes, happened to me, been there, done that. So the important thing is not being perfect and have every game to work. This is not realistic. The important thing is knowing what to do when the game doesn't work, okay? So let's see, no matter how well you prepare, I've been telling you, prepare, no matter how well you prepare, sometimes a game does not go as planned, okay? And that's normal. The key here to be a great tutor is to adapt and be ready with a plan B, okay? So number one, absolute number one is no panic, okay? So don't be like this tutor here. Thankfully, it's just artificial intelligence. No real tutor has done that. Hopefully, maybe in the room, but not at camp, okay? So this is not a real picture, don't worry. So number one, no panic, okay? It's just children. We're talking about a game, okay? We're not talking about heart surgery, okay? You're not killing anyone. It's just a game that doesn't work. So number one, no panic, no frustration, no thinking you've done something wrong. You've done nothing wrong, maybe. It's just that it doesn't work, okay? You say this, yeah, easy, I'm not going to panic. I want to see some of you when they're going to call us like, oh, it doesn't work. What I need to do it. It's a disaster. Don't do that. It's fine. Don't worry. If it happens to you, we have plenty of support for you. Okay, so don't worry. No panic. This session now we're gonna explore what to do and how to modify the game. Okay, so why a game failed? Very easy. One, children didn't understand the rule. You spoke so fast and they didn't understand anything that you said. Okay, yes, this will happen. Maybe the first day, the children are nervous, you are nervous, it's the first day, you speak too fast, don't explain with example, they did not understand the rules. Reason number one for a game not working. The game is too difficult. We put in your lesson plan, or you picked a game that is too difficult, so you didn't select the right game for the right people. The game is too easy, so you were trying to play red, yellow, green with 13 years old. It's not gonna go well. They lose interest, they're just gonna talk in Italian between each other. Or the game doesn't fit the group dynamics. You have a lot of shy children in your group and you're trying to play a game that involves a lot of putting the children on the spot. So the game doesn't really work, okay? Always have a backup plan. So prepare, have a list of safe games. So always have a game that you know works, okay? Some tutors have their go-to game that you are super good at that. You've done it at practice, you've done it at training a million times. You know how to do the game, you have that game ready. You're gonna play that game. As soon as something goes wrong, you're gonna play that game and then think of what to do next. So always have a few games that you know they work, okay? If a game doesn't work, switch to another activity. Of course, try, don't give up on the first attempt, but then be ready to change. It doesn't matter, it's not in the program. Oh, well, you need to do something, okay? So play another game and then you adjust the situation. Balance high energy and low energy. Your children are tired. They've just done water games. They cannot play that specific game because they're tired. Play another type of game that really suits the situation. Remember, at the beginning of the session, we talked about type of games. In lesson planning and classroom management with Sophie, you're going to go in details about that. Experiment with the group to find out what works best. So it doesn't matter if one game doesn't work, note it. That kind of game doesn't work. Let's try again tomorrow or next week. Maybe it will work. You will learn to know your class and your children, and you'll understand what works and what doesn't. The important thing is to have a backup plan. Okay, if for younger children, you need to simplify the rules and do a lot of repetition. You need to have physical games with clear instruction. The younger the children, the more physical you need to be, okay? The more energetic you need to be. The more, think Disney character you need to be, okay? Big. And lots of visual help and movement-based guidance. The younger the children, the more your body and facial expression needs to work. Older children, however, you need to make the game challenging enough for them, otherwise they get bored. Don't know if some of you have experience with young teens or have brothers and sisters that age. They get bored really easily, these children, okay? I have a 14 years old son, so I know what I'm talking about. So you need to challenge them. You need to make things interesting from them, okay? Games that work really well are games that involve problem solving. And big tip here, competition is the key, especially for older children. Competition, they love it. It doesn't really work. Make it into a competition. It becomes interesting instantly, I promise. Creative variation and initiative. Ask them, involve them in creating the rules of the game, involve them in everything you do. They like to have their say, okay? This is just general rules of children. Okay, now, what's gonna happen next? You've been told that you're gonna have an assignment, but not right now, after Sophie's lesson, okay? So after this session, you're gonna have Sophie's session, then you need to upload your assignment, okay? It's a video assignment upload. you need to choose a game from your tutors pack, not Mr. Wolf, of course. You've already seen that game many times. So anything but not Mr. Wolf's, or you might have guidelines of what to choose. Okay, so after you upload your game, we will give you feedback. Okay, the feedback is not, oh, you've done everything wrong, that was a disgraceful game. No, the feedback is needed to improve. So even if you've done a fantastic game, we're gonna give you some good feedback so you can be even better. Okay, someone has a hands raised. George.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. George?
I'm just wondering if it's possible to submit the video sometime tomorrow.
Well, the deadline is really today, and we let you know that was today. Well, if you cannot do it today, do it tomorrow, but let Amy know, okay? It's not really me that take care of this, it's the recruitment manager, okay? So the deadline is tonight, but up to you. Just let Amy know. I'm sure you're gonna have a very good reason for not doing this, not just because you don't feel like it. So please let Amy know, it's fine, okay? Leah?
Okay, cool.
Thank you, George. Leah?
Could we use can I use my little sister to?
Yes, that's a great idea. Yes, absolutely. Yes, if you have someone that can help you on the game, amazing. It's going to be a lot easier for you. Well done. Sarah?
Okay, and just to be clear, is the video due just any time tonight, or is it due by a specific amount of time after the session is over?
Anytime. The idea is you finish the session and you take the following 40 minutes, half an hour, depending on how confident you are to record your video. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. What we need to see is, guess what? Enthusiasm, speak slowly, break down the game into steps, do big gestures, and confidence. Try to think that you have children in front of you. Okay, this is just the first game, so don't worry if you are unsure, if you're not going to be perfect. It doesn't matter. Okay, try to think everything we've discussed today and try to use those tools. As I said, for some of you, some are going to be easy. For the same person, those things that are easy for you are going to be difficult, and something else is going to be easy. Doesn't matter. You know, we've been watching tutors learn game for 14 years, so I've seen it all. No worries at all. The feedback is there to help. So please read that feedback. And on Thursday, we are going to practice together, okay? So on Thursday, you're going to have another chance to practice. So whatever is your feedback, please read it, practice, and be ready for Thursday live practice online. And then you're going to have more chances to practice on the live training in Italy. So don't worry, as you realize now, this video is just the first little step for you to practice. You're going to have plenty of chances to practice. Once you know how to confidently run a game, your camp is going to be fantastic and easy, okay? As I said, it's a learning curve. Okay, I'm sure you have all the rules. Make sure, however, I can see your full body, okay? Not just your face and your hands. I need to see your full body, because hopefully, and I say hopefully, you are going to move around. You're not going to stay still. Hopefully, you're going to move. So I need to see you in a space where you can move, okay? Remember, don't explain the game. Just do it as if you were in front of the children, exactly like the video we show. Speak slowly and use the game nurse acronym. I think that's all, okay? And also look at before the next session quiz tomorrow, okay? Because tomorrow, I think, is the second chance for those of you that didn't take the quiz. Tomorrow is your chance to take it. So please read the red pages if you've been asked to redo the quiz tomorrow. We have a few minutes for questions, and then we have Sophie with us. Philip, question?
Yes. Is that quiz for those who did not take that quiz initially, or is it a completely different quiz? I'm just a bit confused about that.
People that needs to do the quiz, they know who they are. If you didn't get an email about retaking the quiz, it means your quiz was absolutely fine. You don't need to take it again. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Tomorrow is only for the people that had a problem with the first one. So they either didn't do it, they had a technical problem, or unfortunately it wasn't very, very good. So maybe they have to reread their, you know who you are. Okay. If you didn't receive an email, no quiz. Okay. Questions? Mayan.
Hi, yeah. I just wanted to ask if you could repeat what the S was from gamers.
Yes, of course. I'll put the slide again so anyone can take a screenshot. That is a very good question. G,
Thank you.
gestures. A, articulation. M, magnify. E, example. R, repetition. S, speed. Very good, Mayan. That was an excellent opportunity to repeat it. Anybody else? Question? No question? So strange. Usually when I have minutes like this, I'm being bombarded by question. No question? Very strange. Sophie, are you around?
Yes, I am here and I'm ready.
I was about to send you a message, but thank you so much. Okay, so one more time. When Sophie finishes, please upload the video. You have the instructions in the chat if someone is unsure how to use Classroom. After this, I think I leave my presentation. So Sophie, they're all yours. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in your videos. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. Tonight, we are going to go through the whole camp activities. We're going to go through the whole camp activities. So I'm going to share the pages of the tutor pack. We'll go through the key, the main whole camp activities, and we'll look at the information for all of them. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at these pages already and you'll be familiar with some of the activities. But this is a great time to introduce them to you if you haven't already had a look. So whole camp activities are activities that are for the whole camp. So they're exactly what they say on the label. So they're whole camp activities and they're for all of the students at camp, and you're all going to be working together as a big group. So for example, if you have a camp with 4 different groups, maybe you have kids, you have 2 groups of juniors and you have a group of seniors, you'll still all be doing these whole camp activities together. There are differences in the activities for each age group, but the activities are designed to be done as a big group with the whole camp working together. So whole camp activities are a highlight at summer camp, and it's not only the students that look forward to them. The camp directors also look forward to them, so the staff at the school, and also parents and guardians and friends who may come along to see the fun. They're loads of fun for your students, and they give them the opportunity to work together. So a great opportunity for teamwork, problem solving, all of these kinds of skills. They're completing different challenges that you set for them. And it's a great opportunity to have fun as a big group all together. And expect an audience for these events. As I said, parents and relatives may want to come along and see, especially for some of the activities more than others. We'll have a look in a moment when we go through them one by one. But if they're able to come, expect parents and relatives to come and see the day when you have the talent show or water games. They love to see these activities taking place, and they'll be just as excited as your students to see which team's going to win or to see who's going to be soaked first in water games. But remember, as with any other activity at camp, the energy and the attitude that you bring to the activities is going to be mirrored by your students. So just like Gwen has been saying in the game session, all of these things still apply to the whole camp activities. It's really important that you have lots of energy, you have enthusiasm for the activities, and you're well prepared. So act as if all of these activities are the best things that you've ever seen and you're super excited to do them. I'm going to introduce some of the key whole camp activities in this session and describe how you should organize them. But of course, it is your responsibility to go through these pages and be really familiar with the activities, the preparation, the materials that you might need, because they are more detailed than some of the games that you will be playing at other times during camp. So there are a lot more things to think about when you have a really big group of students. Even when you're all working together as a group of tutors, you have more materials to think about, and you have to keep in mind some really important things. So the key things to remember for whole camp activities are preparation, which is essential for everything at camp, but especially for whole camp activities where you have a huge group of students all working together in one space. Organization, again, it's really important that you are organized with the activities and how you're going to run each session, especially when you have bigger numbers of students or when you're doing a particularly detailed activity like whole camp activities can be. And finally, boundaries for number 3. Boundaries are really important for whole camp activities because your students will most likely be outside. You're going to be doing something that's a little different from the games and the activities that they're doing the rest of the day. So it's really important to be clear on what the boundaries are. So preparation is especially important with these activities as there are often additional materials to prepare. You can see that already on this page for the treasure hunt. We have specific materials for the treasure hunt and specific steps for preparation. You also might need to set up specific spaces for these activities. So again, the treasure hunt is a good example. The students will be searching around a space for the treasure, which is little treasure hunt cards. So you need to prepare the space by choosing the space and assigning it for that activity, and then hiding the treasure hunt cards in the space so that the students can then go and find them. So again, thinking about this extra time that you're going to have to put in for the preparation so that everything is ready when you get to the time that whole camp activities is scheduled for at camp. Organization is also key. You need to keep your students on task, which is true for everything at camp, but especially for whole camp activities. When you have big groups of students, you need to keep them focused and to complete the activity with a large number of students. So make sure everybody's clear on the instructions and the activities that they'll be doing and exactly how it's going to work. So make sure it's organized and each tutor knows what they need to be doing, and then make sure that all of the students understand exactly what they should be doing. You should coordinate and plan with your fellow tutors before every whole camp activity. So because you're all going to be working together and because there are going to be bigger groups of students for these activities, it's really essential that you work together. And finally, it's extremely important to establish boundaries with your students. And this is true for all of the time at camp. Obviously, the students need to understand what's expected of them, what your expectations are of them, and what the rules are for at camp. But boundaries are essential when you have a big group of students, when you're working outside, when you're doing something like water games, which can easily get out of hand with the excitement. It all needs to be managed, and the boundaries need to be really clear. So make sure that the rules for every activity and the physical boundaries of the space are extremely clear from the very beginning of any whole camp activity. This will minimize the risk of accidents, and good organization will also make the activities run smoothly and reduce your stress. So preparation is essential. You may need more time for these activities, more time specifically at school preparing these activities, not just the night before looking through the tutor pack. Organization and coordinating with your fellow tutors so you're all clear on how you're going to run these activities, and setting the boundaries with your students so that everything is clear. So let's start with the treasure hunt. The treasure hunt is a great activity at summer camp, and it takes place on day 2 of our camps. This activity does require lots of preparation. So as I said, preparation is essential for these whole camp activities, but more so than for the others, it is really important for the treasure hunt. Specifically, you need to prepare and color code the treasure hunt cards that are going to be used during this activity. These will be provided for you as printed copies, and you can see the copies of them in the tutor pack. So here we have the kids and juniors versions. We also have sentences to be completed with the juniors, and the seniors have different cards with a different theme. You'll have a copy of all of these that you need, but it's your responsibility to cut them out and then hide them in the space. So it's really important that you do that well in advance. You can't do that 5 minutes before the activity starting. You need to do it well before the students arrive at school so that nobody sees where you are hiding that treasure. So make sure you take the time to set it up properly. And we encourage you to make it difficult for your students. Be creative with where you hide the cards. Don't make it easy. So make it challenging. It is an engaging and exciting activity. The students need to explore the space to find these cards and then solve the puzzles. Depending on the size of your camp and whether or not that you're alone, which could be the case, you may have to hide everything on the morning of day 2, so before any of the students begin arriving at camp. Make sure that you get there early if you need to. Be prepared well in advance if this is the case. So you don't want your students arriving as you're hiding the treasure, because that will spoil the whole activity. They'll see where it's all hidden and the activity will be finished in 2 minutes. So especially if you're at a one tutor camp, which could be the case, you're still going to be doing these whole camp activities. It will just be you and your class. It won't be several classes together, but it's really important that you prepare everything well in advance. You need to have it ready before the students get to school so that it's set up for when you come to doing the activity itself. It's a great idea to do that anyway, even if you are at a multiple tutor camp. Have everything prepared in the morning so that you can move seamlessly into the whole camp activity in the afternoon. As I said, you will have printed treasure hunt cards, but it's your responsibility to prepare the cards for each group that's participating in the treasure hunt and then hide the cards in the space. Yes, do we have a question? Kate.
Hi, Sophie. I was just wondering, if we do more than one camp, do we get a new set of cards for each camp, or do we have to take the ones that we have with us to every camp?
Good question. So you get a materials box for every camp. It's sent to the school and it will have all of the materials you need for that camp. So don't worry about that.
Thank you.
No problem. So you can see that each age group has a slightly different version of the treasure hunt. This is because obviously they're not all going to be able to complete the same kinds of activities. So the younger students, the minis and kids, are going to be simply matching shapes on the cards. So they're matching the missing objects. The theme of the kids and juniors treasure hunt is explorers. So just like the treasure hunt activity where they're exploring the space, the cards are going to depict images of explorers going around the world and exploring different places. So you need to cut out these cards and the shapes that match them. Once the students have found the cards and all of the shapes that are missing, they need to put them back together. Then you can check them, see if they've got them all right. And the first group to do this is the winner. For the juniors, it's a little more difficult. So the juniors have to complete some sentences about these cards. So they have the pictures, and for each picture, they have to complete a sentence. So you have the answers in your tutor pack, but the students will only have this version of the sentences. So they don't have the answers. They need to fill in the sentences with the missing words. So the missing words are the objects that you can see in the pictures. So once they've found all of the cards, they need to complete these sentences with the missing words. Go through them together, make sure everybody's got the sentences correct, and the group that completed them correctly first is the winner. You can go through and check spelling together, but that's not the essential part of it. The most important thing is that the students are working together and that they find the cards and then they complete the sentences. So take time to go through them and make sure they're correct at the end. But the focus of the activity is finding the cards, putting them together and answering the sentences together. And we do have that competitive element. Just as Gwen was saying earlier, it's really engaging and motivating for students when there's some kind of competition. So if they know that they need to complete these sentences before the others, they're going to be even more motivated to find the cards and complete them with the missing words. Now, the seniors have a higher level of English again, so they can do something a little more difficult. Their treasure hunt is based on Minecraft, So it's a more specific theme, but the idea is still that they are exploring some sort of habitat in Minecraft. So they're going to complete sentences using prepositions. So this is a little more challenging, but the students should be well prepared for this with the activities you will have done in the morning with them at camp. So they find the cards with the sentences, they complete them with the preposition cards. Again, see which group completes them first, and then make sure all of the sentences are correct, and you have a winner. So making sure that you have all of your cards ready, you've hidden them in space, and you are ready when the students get there to introduce the activity, make the boundaries very clear. So tell them the space that they can explore, where the treasure might be, make sure it's very clear where they can and can't go, and then you can let the students go and explore the space to find the cards. So they're going to be searching for these, completing the sentences or matching the shapes, and then you go through it and check together. So, any questions about the treasure hunt? Okay. Oh, yes, Kate?
Sorry, I've got one more, Sophie. Is it best if we like make a list where we've hid everything?
That's probably a good idea. Yes.
Lose any of the cards.
Absolutely. So if you do it in the morning before, maybe by after lunchtime, you will have forgotten where everything is. And if the students don't find them all, it could be a good idea just have a note of where everything is.
Okay.
So that's a good tip. Noemi?
Hi, yes, I was wondering, because we have to split all the students into groups, how many cards are in the material box, or do we need, all the tutors need to bring like each card together for the teams?
You will have all of the number of copies of cards that you need for your camp. So you don't need to worry about making duplicates. You'll have all of them that you need.
Okay, great, thank you.
No problem. So you can see that the instructions and details about all of this is in the tutor pack. Oh yes, Petra, question?
I'm just wondering, because this isn't directly related to the treasure hunt, but just kind of the whole camp activities. I know some of them are intermixing. I just think I'm having trouble understanding how they're intermixing. And then for the ones that are separate, are we meant to separate the camp like age groups as well? Are we having these activities in the same area, even though it's different like instructions, I guess?
Yeah, it's a good question. So as you can see, the treasure hunt is a good example of this. All of the students will be doing a treasure hunt, but they'll all be doing something that's slightly different. So the seniors will be doing their Minecraft treasure hunt. The kids and juniors are doing their Explorer treasure hunt, but with different objectives at the end. So they will be working in the same space. Feel free to hide the cards all around the space. And the students then have to find the ones that they're looking for. So the seniors will know to look for Minecraft ones. The juniors will know to look for the Explorers ones. So you'll be working in the same space. You can zone the space if you feel that's more organized and that works better. Feel free to say the seniors treasure hunt will be here, the juniors will be here, and the kids will be over here. That's up to you when you're coordinating and organizing these activities together. Some of the activities, for example, the agility challenge, which we'll look at next, it's much easier to have your students mixing together because they're working on sports activities. So they don't have specific materials for each age group like you do with the treasure hunt. But really, it's up to you to coordinate depending on the number of groups that you have and the different age groups that you have at camp. The activities are going to be slightly different. But the idea is that you're all doing the activity at the same time and you will be in the same space, even if you want to zone the space for each age group if they're doing slightly different activities. Mayanne, do you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering for whole camp activities such as these that do require a bit more preparation time, if I felt more comfortable getting to the school like 45 minutes early instead of 30, would that be okay?
I would say check with your camp director when you get there and find out what time the school is going to be open, and then you know exactly what time you can get there. But ideally, if you can be there early to do the extra preparation for these, it definitely does help. So half an hour early to prepare the treasure hunt should be enough, but if you can be there earlier, then I would say take the opportunity.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions at the moment? Okay, great. So all of the details for each age group for the treasure hunt and for all of the whole camp activities are in the tutor pack, of course. So you have step-by-step instructions on how to prepare, the materials that you're using, and then the activity and how to run the activity when you get there. And any of the final tasks, completing the sentences and then going through them and checking. Again, the three things that are most important to remember are preparation, as always with everything at camp, but especially for these kinds of activities where you're going to have a big group and when you have specific materials or different things that you're going to be using. Organization and coordination with your fellow tutors, or if you're at a single person camp, a single tutor camp, then making sure that you're prepared with everything that you need to feel confident for this activity. And finally, boundaries, making sure before you start anything with these activities, you need to be clear with the boundaries of the space and exactly what students can and can't do during them. So again, you have the answers to the seniors treasure hunt cards. So if in doubt, you can look in your tutor pack and you know exactly how to complete the sentences. However, they're pretty straightforward and you should be able to guess them when you're looking at them yourselves. So the next whole camp activity is interactive storytelling. I'm not going to spend much time on this because you will have a session on storytelling tomorrow with Gwen, but it is a really important part of camp. All of the students will be having this activity at the same time as it's a whole camp activity. But again, each group is going to have a different story, and this session will be slightly different for each age group with the activities that you'll be doing and how you introduce the story. So it's different stories for each age group. You'll have the text of the story and you'll have flashcards that match with it, each one with the keywords. And all of the instructions are in these pages of the tutor pack. But you will have a specific session on this, so I'm not going to go through it step by step. But all of the information you need is in these pages of the tutor pack. So for kids and juniors, introducing the story, the activities that you do afterwards, and everything that you need to know is in here. And then the different approach that we use for seniors is included on the following pages. So let's move on to the agility challenge. This activity takes place on day 4 of Bell Summer Camps. Whilst the preparation needed for a successful agility challenge is different to that of the treasure hunt or interactive storytelling, it still requires a lot of attention. This activity is basically like a school sports day, if you ever participated in one when you were at school. There are different challenges for the students to participate in. For example, we can see here an obstacle course and then different games on the theme of agility and movement. And the idea is that the students compete as if they were in a sports day or as if they were at the Olympic Games. You can create your own Bell version of the Olympics for your students. So you need to consider the space that's available, of course, as always, but especially with something like this where you're setting up an obstacle course or you need spaces for students to run in a relay or a race. Or if you're doing the bowling activity, you need to have a bowling lane prepared. So you need to think about the space that's available to you at camp. It is most likely going to need to be outside unless the weather really prevents you from being outside, in which case you may have to move into a gym hall. But if that happens, then make sure you're prepared and thinking through how you can make any adaptations. I would say for this activity, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow in classroom management, if you keep an eye on the weather forecast and it looks like it's going to be a terrible day on day 4, then you could move the agility challenge to another day. Coordinate with your fellow tutors and think about when it would be better when you can do it outside, because it is much better if you can do this activity outside where you have space and the students can fully participate in something like an obstacle course. It's much easier when you have lots of outdoor space. However, you also need to plan the games and the challenges that are going to be included in the Agility Challenge whole camp activity. And you could even create something entirely new for this activity. So if you love sports and outdoor activities, then feel free to introduce a specific game or a specific challenge that you know and enjoy. So we have suggested some games and activities for you to do during the Agility Challenge. As I said, there's the obstacle course, which will need preparing in advance. Then there are several games. There's bowling using plastic bottles instead of bowling pins. There are individual races, long jump, plank and star jump challenge, and so on. Lots of different games and activities and competitions that you can set for your students. However, there are many other excellent games in the game section of the tutor pack that you can use for the remit of the Agility Challenge. So you can definitely consider adding in a game or changing one of the games, adapting it depending on the space that you have available, and make sure everything is structured so that you have stations around the space where some students are doing the obstacle course in one area, then students move on to doing races or the long jump somewhere, and you can have different tutors around the space running these activities. So again, this is where the organization and preparation comes in. You need to be prepared with who's going to run which activities, which ones need setting up in advance, which space you're going to use for each of these activities, and so on. So considering the activities that you're planning, who's going to do each one, and again, making the boundaries really clear. So if you have a race that's happening, you need to know the start point and the finish point, and make sure the students know which space they're allowed to participate in, for example, the obstacle course. Make sure they're all clear of where they're going to be doing each of these activities and that they need to stay in the space that's been assigned. Any questions so far about the Agility Challenge and Sports Day? No? Okay, great. So as always, the instructions are all in the tutor pack. This one is a little more straightforward because you're just setting up the games. As always, you need to be familiar with how to introduce them and you need to know who's doing which one. But the idea is that it's a session of challenges and games on the theme of movement and agility for the students. So our next whole camp activity is water games. Now, water games is really a highlight at camp. It takes place on day 7, and it is the day that all of your students have been waiting for. I can guarantee it. So it's really imperative that every child gets drenched in water during water games. That's the whole point of the activity. No child should be left dry. So there are things to think about when you're preparing for water games. When I was talking about the treasure hunt and the Agility Challenge, I was mentioning how parents and camp directors can come and watch these activities. And this is especially true of water games. So all of them will know that this is happening on day 7 at camp, and they are likely to come and want to see how it takes place and how much fun the students are having. So they're going to be looking forward to this day just as much as the students, and they're expecting everyone to get soaked with water. So it's up to you to make it happen. But even more so with water games, it's really important to establish boundaries and to manage the excitement and energy of students through organized and structured fun. So you can see at the top of the page, the first sentence says, water games are a lot of fun, but it's important to keep structure to this session as it can easily get out of hand. And this is more true for water games than it is for any other activity at camp. So it's really even more important to think about preparation, organization, and boundaries when you are preparing and introducing the water games activity with your students. Again, we've suggested some games that will work for the remit of water games. There are some fantastic fun games that you can use, and you can adapt many more of the games from the games pages. So you can have an obstacle course with the theme of water games. You can do hot potato, which is one of our favorite games, musical statues, a relay race. Any of these kinds of activities work really well, and there are many more that you could use too. But the essential thing to remember is this has to be a structured session. It's not just a session when everyone goes around soaking each other with water. So the preparation necessary for this activity to be a success is more extensive than just choosing a couple of games. You need to fill the water containers that you're going to be using. Students will probably bring their own water guns or balloons if they know that water games is happening. But an important thing to remember is they are not allowed to fill these containers. That's the job of the tutor. So you are going to be the ones filling up the water containers for them to use during water games. And another important point to remember is that these containers are not allowed inside the school. You do not want any child running around the school with a fully filled water gun, and you do not want your students going into the school after they are soaking wet and wandering around the school. So whilst the students are taking part in the activities that you've planned for them, feel free to use that super soaker on them and get them drenched, but make sure that it is a structured session where you are playing the games and participating in the activities, and that the boundaries are really clear and the students understand what they can and can't do. The key thing to remember for this activity is that structure is non-negotiable. It has to be a structured session. Without it, the students get carried away and chaos ensues. So you really need to have your structure clear with the different activities. Make sure all of you are prepared with which activities you're going to be running and which students you'll be working with. So you need to make your rules clearer than clear, especially for water games. Rules need to be clear and boundaries need to be really clear. Have multiple activities prepared so that you can change regularly and keep up interest in the game that you're playing. So again, as Gwen was saying, you need to be ready with backup activities, especially for something like water games. You can't go through all of your games in the first 20 minutes and then just have a free-for-all for the rest of the session. The whole time needs to be planned and prepared. So make sure you have lots of games. You can change them and keep the pace appropriate for the students so they're staying focused on the games rather than getting distracted and just starting to soak each other with water. And students will always take the lead from you. So if you interrupt a game to drench them with water and forget about the game that you are playing, expect the game to end and for it to become a free-for-all, because the students will think that that's what's going to happen now because you started doing it. And that's not what you want. So keep it structured, keep to the games and activities, make sure it is clear at the very beginning where they can and can't go in this space, that you are the one filling the water containers and that you don't want them running back into the school soaking wet. It's also important to check that everybody has a dry set of clothes in the morning before. So make sure they're ready with their change of clothes and a towel for at the end of the session, because you don't want to get to the end of water games and have your students all soaked only to realize no one has their change of clothes. That would be a disaster. So make sure you are planned and prepared and you've checked these things before you start. Yes, Petra.
Thank you. Just in relation to the change of clothes, I had two questions. So the first one is, what would we do in the case that they don't end up having a change of clothes or towel? And then the second question would be, if they're not allowed to go in the school, are we setting up a changing station outside? Like, how does that work?
Okay, so first question about them having a change of clothes. They should come with a change of clothes and towel. They've got a note sent home to their parents about this day happening, and you will also be sending a note home the day before as another reminder to make sure that they bring it in. And keep reminding them the day before verbally as well. Keep repeating, it's water games tomorrow, don't forget your towel and change of clothes. So hopefully no one will forget. If you notice that someone has forgotten, let your camp director know, let us know, and then hopefully we can get in touch with the family. They might be able to bring something, but it's highly unlikely that it'll be a problem when there's been so many reminders. So the key part of the preparation for water games really is to keep reminding them that it's happening. But they do have a reminder sent home to the parents. The camp director is also aware that it's happening on day 7, and you will be sending a reminder home with them the day before as well. Now, second question about the changing. So there will be an area that you can use for your students to get changed at school. So it'll probably be where they get changed for their PE classes, so for their sports activities when they're usually at school. So make sure you familiarize yourself when you get to school. Your camp director or the school janitor will be able to show you these facilities. So you'll know exactly where they are. What I mean when I say they can't go into the school dripping wet is that you don't want them going back into the classroom and wandering all around the school and getting water everywhere in the corridors, which could be dangerous. So obviously you need to get them from the space outside where they're doing water games to the changing room so that they can get changed. but that should be your first port of call. So straight to the changing rooms, interchange of clothes, and then back to the classroom, and not into the school and wandering around when they're dripping wet. So the key idea is that they don't get water everywhere, because we don't want the school with slippy corridors that could be dangerous for the students and water all over the classrooms. Any other questions? No? Okay. So let's move on to our final few whole camp activities. So we do have the costume party this year, which is a whole camp activity, but only for the kids and juniors, so not for the seniors. It's only for 2 of the age groups. So this is an activity where the students will be coming in with fancy costumes. They'll be dressing up perhaps as their favorite Disney character, or a character from a story or from a comic book, anything, or maybe just their favorite outfit. So the idea is that it's basically like a kid's birthday party. They get to dress up. You're going to be making fun crafts and costumes. So you can see the instructions are here for masks and crowns and wands. So the idea is that it's almost like a fairy tale party. So the students get to dress up. They'll bring in their outfits from home. Then they'll create extra costume pieces during the crafts. And then you have some party games. So you can use any party games that you would like to include, but we've suggested some of the greatest hits, like musical chairs, a musical version of Simon Says. You can play charades. You can play a version of Duck, Duck, Goose. You can have a costume parade, which is a really great activity where each student presents their outfit and their costume in a catwalk style activity. You can have a dance competition, party awards, so giving an award for the best dancer or for the best outfit, anything like that. So basically it's time for a party and for having some fun. Again, the students will have had a reminder sent home to their parents about bringing in a costume for this day, and you'll be sending home a note the day before to remind them again. If they don't bring in their costume, it's not a disaster. It's not the same as if they forget their change of clothes for water games. So don't worry. If they don't bring in a costume, it's not a nightmare. They'll be making the crafts anyway, so they'll have a mask, they might have a crown and a wand, so they'll have part of a costume anyway when you do these activities with them. But basically, it's a chance for a party, for having a bit of fun. Again, the seniors do not participate in this costume party activity. They will be doing work on their projects at this time. So the seniors don't do this activity. It's only for kids and juniors. We then have the space adventure. So this is a whole camp activity that will be for all of the age groups, but each age group has a slightly different version. So the idea is that they are traveling into space on an adventure. As if you're exploring space in virtual reality. You'll be practicing prepositions, directions, and instructions, and all of these key vocabulary. So introduce a theme, revise these important vocabulary with some games and activities. And then for the kids and juniors, it's basically a drama activity. So you're going to imagine that you're going into space on a spaceship. You get your spacesuit on, you put your seatbelt on, you're shaking during liftoff and traveling into space. What can you see? Go on a spacewalk, all of these kinds of things. So it's basically a drama activity where you're practicing instructions, directions, and prepositions. For the seniors, it's a little more complex. So again, we're practicing the same kinds of vocabulary, directions and prepositions and instructions, of course. So you introduce the topic with the game of where am I, and then you introduce the vocabulary with some more games, and then start with the activity, which is basically like a maze challenge. So the students have to move through the space whilst being blindfolded, and they are trying to avoid specific obstacles. So these obstacles are in space, like a piece of paper that becomes a black hole, a chair is a satellite, a table is a spacecraft. You can have student volunteers being aliens or space police, or a comet even, and any other creative ideas that you want to add. So again, you need to prepare for this activity in advance. You need to set up this obstacle course and this maze so that you can have it ready for when your students get there. So the students are in groups, and one student has to move through the obstacle course whilst blindfolded and being given instructions and directions by their teammates. So you can see for each obstacle, there's a consequence. For example, for the black hole, if the student stands on the piece of paper, they have to spin round twice. If they bump into the chair, they have to freeze for 5 seconds. And it is a timed challenge, so make sure you time each student as they go through, and then see which group had the best times, and they are the winners. Again, having that element of competition is extra motivating and encourages the students to really focus on the activity. And the final whole camp activity. Oh, yes, Mayan, do you want to ask a question?
Hi, yeah. My question was, since a couple of the activities like whole camp and just like games have like a level of time and competition with them, I was wondering if it was like recommended that we like had like a watch. I didn't know. And I guess addendum to that question is, should we try to avoid using our phone as like a way to time?
If you have a watch, that would be great. If you're timing something, you can use your phone. Obviously, minimize the amount of time that you're using it. But if you're timing something, it's okay. If you have a stopwatch or something like that, feel free to use that. But if you need to time something, it's okay to use your phone for that. So let's talk about the talent show. This is a lovely activity at camp, and it's great for all age groups. They can all participate in it together, and each student is going to share a different talent. So I'm sure you're all familiar with what a talent show entails, but basically the idea is that each student, or perhaps in a pair or in a small group, is going to do some kind of performance, whether that's playing a musical instrument, performing a dance routine, or maybe telling some jokes, anything that they want to showcase as their talent. Each student gets to perform, and again, expect an audience for this activity. The parents and the camp directors will be well aware that this talent show is taking place, and they'll probably want to come and see. So you will have time allocated for preparation for the talent show, because you want to make sure that every student has something prepared. So make sure they've decided what they want to do. If they want to work in a pair or as a group, that's absolutely fine. If they want to be an individual act, that's also fine. The important thing is that they all have something that they can participate with. So make sure that each student has something prepared, and then give them time to practice. There is time allocated for this in the daily plans, as you'll be able to see. So you have time to get really well prepared for this activity. Once you've done your preparation, make sure when you're conducting the show that it's super exciting and fantastic, and that you're really excited about it, and you encourage all of the students, give them a big round of applause, a great introduction, and make sure you're presenting it as if it's a talent show that's on TV, you know, like Britain's Got Talent or something similar. So you want to really have lots of enthusiasm and encouragement during this activity. Make sure everyone gets a big round of applause. And also be flexible. So sometimes somebody might get some nerves at the last minute, and you may need to give them a little bit of extra time to calm down, so you can change the running order or something like that. And of course, you can get someone taking photos or videos, especially if parents are there, they're probably going to want to do that. So make sure everybody's ready before you start the show. But the most important thing is to prepare in advance and make sure that each student knows what they're going to be presenting as their talent, and make sure that they know if they need to bring in a musical instrument or a specific costume or something like that, or you need to play some music for them for a dance routine. Make sure you have everything ready for that if you're going to need it. So you do have time to do this extra preparation. It's not just the 1 hour in the afternoon for the talent show. You do have pre-show preparation when you can make sure that everything is set and prepared for it to be a fantastic activity. Any questions about the talent show? Yes, Kate.
What day is the talent show on, Sophie, please?
Let me just double check that for you. So if we go back to the very beginning, we can go to the camp schedules, and we can see the talent show rehearsals for a 2-week camp are on Friday. So you can see there you have your talent show rehearsals on Friday. And then on week 2, the talent show activity itself takes place on Monday. So preparation on Friday, the students have the weekend to practice and prepare, and then the actual talent show activity takes place on Monday.
Your star, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Any questions about anything relating to whole camp activities? Oh yes, Jared.
Yes, I'm just wondering, so is this like an example of a camp schedule, or is this the exact camp schedule?
No, this is the exact camp schedule for the kids. So if you have a group of kids, this is the schedule you will be following for a 2-week camp. So I don't know if you were here last week on Thursday, we went through these pages of the daily plans. So in the tutor pack, you can find the overviews like these, where you can see the general activities that you'll be doing. And then you have the specifics of each session and the games and activities to play in the following pages. So this is exactly what you will be doing. It's not a suggestion, it is the program that you'll be following.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. Hannah?
Hi, I just wanted to double check about the whole thing for like arranging a person to take photographs. Are we as tutors allowed to take pictures of the talent show, or do we have to have a higher up, like a camp supervisor or a camp director, be in charge of that?
So it depends on what type of camp you're at. Some camps you can take photos of the students, some you can't. But I would say always check with the camp director. If they're present at the talent show, they'll probably want to be taking photos and videos anyway, so they might volunteer for that role themselves. But always double check before you take photos and videos with us and with the camp director.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Mayan, what about you?
I was wondering, when it comes to some of the activities and we're supposed to like ask certain questions, like day one, we need to find out whether or not they would like to be in the talent show. And then with water games, I know we like have the kids write a note home. I was wondering from your like experience being a tutor, if you found that there was like a time that worked best within the day and schedule. Is that best for like end of day one? Like, all right, by the way, we're also going to be doing a talent show, like at that final roundup time, or where you think that best fits in the schedule?
I would say the roundup is a good time to do anything like that. So notes to go home to the parents, you can write them during that time, and then you know it's fresh in the students' minds just as they're going home, and they can hopefully remember to give them to the parents. But again, with the whole camp activities, the parents know which days are happening at camp. So they do already have a note about it, but it's always good to have that second reminder. So definitely the roundup is a good time to do that.
Thank you.
No problem. And Leah?
It was just a double check. I'm sorry if you said this already, but for the talent show, if the kids need like music or anything, is there a tech team, or is there, like, how do we play the music or like the visuals for them?
So it will definitely depend on which school you're at and what things you have available, but most of these activities take place outside. So I would say if they need music, it'll probably be something you'll have to play on your phone. If you have a speaker with you, then that's great. You can make it a bit louder or something like that. If the school has a speaker that you can use, even better. But it will depend on where you are and what you need. So don't stress, they're not going to need some huge backdrop or a video that goes with it or anything like that. But if you want to play some music or something like that, if you have a speaker and you can play it through your phone, then great. Otherwise, see what the school has and work with the materials that you have available.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And Petra?
Just in relation to like the, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Forget about it. I'll maybe ask another time. Sorry.
No problem. I'm sure it'll come back to you. I'll be seeing you all again tomorrow anyway. So if any questions come to you overnight, feel free to bring them up tomorrow. Anything else that anyone wants to ask just now? No? Okay, great. Well, just as a final reminder, I know Gwen told you already, but please submit your games videos tonight. So we really can't wait to see them and go through them and give you a little bit of feedback to help. So as soon as we finish here, get to work on those and submit them through Classroom. I will be seeing you again tomorrow for Classroom Management. So I'm looking forward to that. Any questions or anything that anyone wants to bring up just now? Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for participating in this training session tonight. Again, don't forget your games videos, and I'll see you again tomorrow for Classroom Management. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day at night.
Thank you.